Is convened. The recording is making it officially convened. I have a very quick spiel. We're going to skip the minutes so that Kevin can get the most time, but the spiel, I guess, has to come first. Good evening. I'm Roger Blood, Chair of the HAB. The meeting of the HAB is in open session, being conducted remotely and in accordance with state law. Adequate public access does not require inclusion of public participation unless required by law. In this meeting, the HAB is convening on Zoom, is posted on the town's website calendar. Members of the public not speaking are not required to identify themselves. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. Anything that you broadcast or say may be captured in the recording, including your video if it's turned on, and you may be on or off at your option. All materials provided to members of this body are available on the town's website as links in this meeting's agenda. The meeting will follow the agenda unless I note otherwise, and I will slightly be doing that. Let's see, skip a couple of things. We will now turn to the first item on the agenda, but we're actually going to go to the second item. I want to introduce Kevin McKenzie to you for the next as much of 30 minutes as possible. Kevin has to go to another meeting of the Diversity Commission, which is it the naming commission or the diversity that you're going to?
Tonight it's naming.
Naming, okay. Kevin has been very interested in affordable housing for some time. He's a fellow town meeting member here in Precinct 13 as well, and had been contemplating fashioning a warrant article to try to promote so-called workforce housing, or what we may consider middle income, the missing middle housing. And somebody had suggested that he might want to make a quick stop or whatever length of time he wishes with the HAB for some discussion first, sharing his thoughts and asking for any HAB members' thoughts in return, in response, or independently of what he's going to have to say to us. So, Kevin, I hope that's quick but thorough enough to have you come on and let us know what you're thinking, and we'll try to give you an enlightened response.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. So Kevin McKenzie, I'm a town meeting member of Precinct 13. I chair the Diversity Commission, and also I'm a teacher in Brookline. I work for the public schools of Brookline, which is also a big sort of piece of where I am, like where I'm coming from on this one, as someone who has struggled to definitely live in town while working for the school district. When I was a paraprofessional, that wasn't possible. And even as a teacher, making comparatively to many other districts very good money, I'm still pretty much rent burdened. Almost one third of my income is going to rent alone. But I don't qualify for a lot of those different programming, and this is true for a lot of my coworkers. Based off of our salaries, we sort of get locked out of the more affordable options, and have to, deal with the market. I think the last data I have from that I know of from the BEU, at least by the Brooklyn Educators Union, I think it's less than 10%, about 10% of our members live in town. That tends to skew on people who bought property, 20 plus years ago. So the people who live in town tend to be on the older side. Younger educators tend to not live in Brookline. Many live in Boston. And those that have been able to live in Brookline, often when it's time to settle down and start their own family, will move away from it. I have a colleague who lives out past Sturbridge Village and commutes every day. And it's like an hour and a half plus each direction because that was the closest place she was able to buy property to Brookline that she could afford at the time. And she still, troops into Brookline every day after 17 years. But it's the vision of being able to live in Brookline and raise a family in Brookline, if that's what you as an educator would like to do, or just you as a town employee, public employee, civil servant, nonprofit employee, right? People in that middle income bracket whose income is restricted by various means, but still is not low, like considered low income, for the area median. And just like one of the other things to note there is that many of the educators I know, when it's like time to start a family, Brookline just isn't on the table for them to live in the district. And I personally think there's a lot of value to having not just our educators, but all municipal workers have the ability to live in the community that they also work in and serve. It adds a lot to our community. It is important to have them at events, and it's a lot harder for, educators and other public servants to trek to our events when they have to live so far away, or just aren't able to be a part of the community. So that's sort of the approach on that. There's been a lot of discussion recently about affordable housing, housing development. But again, there's that sort of, as Roger mentioned, that missing middle. Yes, so for me, it's sort of a yes and what can be done to help those who are, again, income restricted, whether they're municipal workers, state workers, federal workers, again, sort of nonprofit, some nonprofit adjacent types, who sort of do public good, public service work in the nonprofit sphere could also potentially qualify. So I've been sort of thinking about, like, what does the town already do? What could the town do more of? What role, if any, does town meeting have? Is it a resolution? Is it a warrant article? What's already been happening? What is, and where all of you come in really for guidance is what is already happening? What are best practices? Because the last thing I want to do is duplicate work, or get in the way of work that you're all doing, that is working towards the same goal. And I think that is everything, that I had to share with you. So again, just, I want to thank you all for your time and for taking me out of order, so I'm able to be here with you.
Kevin, you were contemplating a warrant article, as you said, either a resolution or an article of some sort. Did you have any particular thoughts of what the content or high points of such an article might be, other than a
The
general?
bylaw one I have not been able to dig that deep on, so any guidance on a bylaw would be appreciative. The resolution could basically just be that town meeting believes it's important for us to develop workforce housing, which again is toothless. It's just a statement of town meeting's thoughts. I'm also mindful of the fact that the staff time on the town side is limited. Budget decisions are being made, and the town has to, prioritize its FTE, its employees, where at its own priorities. That's not to say that this is not a priority of the town, workforce housing, but it's not since unless there's like an existing thing. I also am trying to recognize that, like, if I'm going to create a new thing that's going to require staff time and money for it, that's an additional budget ask at a time when the budget is tight.
Very good. Have members, we got a pretty good group here tonight. I see Bernard has joined us as well. Welcome, Bernard. Any thoughts for Kevin? I think to some extent, Kevin, you may be preaching to the choir in terms of not only our advocacy, but our awareness of the missing middle on this, in terms of there not being much in the way of existing programs or resources at the state or even local or federal level. But we have a lot of people here with a lot of experience in this area. So who has some thoughts for this? Alex.
The first correlation it reminds me of is the inclusionary zoning ideas that we're bringing up, that were coming up in the last 4 months or so or more. I think it was Steve and you, Roger, who were thinking about the unit sizes and the sizing and the metrics and how that could be pieced in, but that would go to the lower third, I guess, if it's inclusionary zoning, right?
Actually, it wouldn't. I think that it has the potential. And Kevin, just so you'll know, without us getting too long on any one particular thing, our inclusionary zoning requires 15% affordable, but that is not the missing middle. That's deed restricted below where you're talking. And we have a subcommittee. We've met once, and we are kicking some thoughts around, which would include an amendment which might signal to a developer, if you build in the 85% of the market rate units that you're building, if you build units that are smaller than your inclination to go full-blown luxury as big as you can make them and as expensive, if you build smaller units that are similar to the size of affordable units in affordable housing programs, we would create some kind of an incentive that would relieve a bit of your burden for producing lower income deed restricted. These would not be deed restricted. They would be more affordable to the middle, more because they're smaller and they're not you know, oversized for luxury market. So that's an idea that the HAB is currently exploring. Other thoughts? Jonathan?
You're muted,
You're,
Jonathan.
you're still muted.
Sorry.
By the way, just so, because Kevin doesn't know everybody, there's I think 9 of us on here now. Maybe you can tell us not only your name, but a little, but very quickly, who you are in terms of your perspective on the HAB.
Sure. I'm Jonathan Klein. I'm a town meeting member. Kevin knows that in precinct 17. I'm I spent my life before I retired as an affordable housing professional, as a lawyer, working mostly with nonprofit developers, building, but also some for-profit developers and lenders and others who are in the industry of renovating, building, owning, and managing affordable housing of all types. And I'm a fierce advocate for more housing, serving every income level. So that's a quick background, and I've shared a little bit of this with Kevin before, and also with others. I'll say at the beginning, I just need to say this. I know it won't make any difference, that I have an objection to the term workforce housing because it implies that people in other kinds of subsidized housing are not in the workforce, and that's just not true. So most of the people in the BHA housing or in Section 8 housing are working unless they have disabilities or very elderly or, for other reasons. And, people at every income level, including people at 30% of median and 50% of median and 60% of median, who qualify for all the subsidized housing programs we have are generally in the workforce. So I know what the term means and I know what people mean by it. And this is a term that's bigger than me. I'm not going to change the world, but I will register that. My second thought is that, in fact, if you look at the programs we have, they actually go quite far into serving what you would think of as the workforce or missing middle. And I think it is important here to deal with real numbers as we talk about this. In general, our inclusionary zoning programs serve people between 50% and 80% of area median income. 40B projects are designed either for people at 50% of area median income or 80% of area median income, depending on what the developer chooses. If they choose 80%, they have to do more units. If they choose 50%, they have to do slightly fewer units. And those numbers are actually quite high. So when you look at Brookline, the median income in Brookline right now for a family of 4 is $165,000. So 80% of median income for a family of 4 is $132,000. 60% is $99,000. 50% is $82,000. So those are pretty high numbers. Those are way above minimum wage jobs, and they actually do cover the range, for example, that teachers, paraprofessionals, some, police and firefighters and others, municipal workers, would fall into. So I think we should acknowledge at first that we are in fact serving some of that. It is also true that people who make above those limits, even if you're within those limits, it's hard to find housing because deed restricted housing is scarce and hard to find. Number one, we need a lot more of it in those ranges. And when you get above those ranges, people who are making a little bit more, they can't afford the market rents or the market prices in Brookline unless they make closer to 200% of median income. So there is a gap. And it is very hard to address that gap because most affordable housing is supported either by transfer of profits from market rate units, which is what happens in 40Bs and inclusionary zoning, right? The developer is required to provide a certain number of affordable units in return for, being allowed to build the market rate units, or by subsidies, state and federal subsidies. And the state and federal subsidies, by and large, are really only available up to 60% of median. So if you're doing significant affordable housing, it's very, very hard to find the kind of subsidies you would need to make it possible to actually build for, anything above that. So that's a lot of thoughts. I'd be happy to have deeper conversations about it. I've had a nice long conversation with Bernard about it, several months ago. I think it's a really challenging thing to do, to figure out, and it's especially challenging at the local level. But it's also a worthy goal. We want to be able to house everyone at every income level and have them be able to live in our community.
Jonathan, you're everything you're saying is spot on. You're triggering a thought that I might add on to it. And this is something that most people may not be aware of, and I'm not even sure if every single HAB member is directly aware of this. We know we wear two hats. We're the members of the Housing Advisory Board that oversee inclusionary zoning, and, among other things, and try to develop policy. And then we're the trustees of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And the reason I say that is there's actually a dichotomy. You mentioned the up to 80% for what our programs cover. That's true in an absolute way for the trust fund. But for inclusionary zoning, it's actually not an exact match. The inclusionary zoning does have options where on rental, you can go, according to the bylaw, we're not actually doing it, go up to 100% of median. And on first-time affordable homeowner, the bylaw lets us go up to not only 100, but to 120. So as high as the numbers are, as you mentioned, which people are surprised at, I think with 80%, they are even higher for the other. But when you look at the realities of the Brookline housing market, that is the missing middle gap, because $165,000 of income, whether it's single or combined, you'd be lucky to find $1 million unit in Brookline, and you'd have to pay 5 times more, 6 times your income. Interestingly, so we can go up there, but we don't have any resources to put money where our mouth or our bylaw is, because we can't take our trust fund up to that level. So without getting into specifics here, I would be inclined for us to look for ways that our trust fund, where we have resources and have deployed a lot of them to produce housing, with or without, largely with tax credits, but also directly, to where our trust fund could have the ability to use its resources to help actually create, with the financial support, at least up to 100% AMI.
Yeah, if I could respond really briefly, and I know other
Yeah.
people want to speak. The challenge there, and maybe
Oh, I didn't see
Pam
the other
Goodman,
hand. Go ahead.
Pam Goodman could also speak to this, is that developers are unable to build for that because our resources are so puny, and you need significant state and federal resources to build housing for people in that category. And the amount we can contribute, can't carry it without a lot of other help. And so without the state and federal programs that address those income tiers between 80 and 100 or 110, and there are a couple, but just very, very little, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I'll shut up. I've said a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
nothing
thank
else
you.
to add, other than it is a resource issue, and there aren't the programs, at least I'm not aware of sort of the programs that exist to sort of address that missing middle. And it's a big issue. It's been a big issue for a long time. So I don't know what the magic wand is.
Steve.
Thanks, Roger. Just brief bio. I'm Steve Hyken. I'm a longtime member of the planning board. I'm planning board's rep on the Housing Advisory Board, and a retired architect, urban designer with a career of 40 years in doing primarily affordable and mixed income housing. I just wanted to, I'm also a guy who always sees the glass as half full. And I wanted to add, this may not be a major trend, but I think there's a hopeful note on the horizon. I mean, there's a project that we're going to be talking about next tonight, which is the proposed adaptive reuse of the Maimonides Lower School in Clark Road, where a developer is proposing to build, perhaps constrained by the site and agreement with the neighborhood, 35 modest-sized units that will be, I would call what the term these days is, naturally occurring affordable housing. He's not asking
Noah.
for any subsidies. Noah, also the name of my cat. Not asking for any subsidies, but planning to produce moderate-sized units that, I mean, the problem, as was discussed by both Jonathan and Roger, the median income numbers here are crazy high, but so are the rents and prices of housing, which skews things all over the place. So there's that project, but there's another project that is currently going through the review process, which is the redevelopment of 2 adjacent properties on Kent Street and Webster Place. One is the historic Brookline Community Foundation building on Webster Place, and adjacent to that is the former Elks building on Kent Street. And the proposal there by a developer is to relocate the Elks building to demolish the BCF building, relocate the Elks building, and build a new building adjacent, and end up with something like 79 units, most of which are quite small, rental, and no subsidies asked for. And in fact, the units are so small that there are actually many of them are less than the size where we do have requirements for affordable units of a certain square footage for 1 and 2 bedroom units. Many of the units are actually under that size, which would seem to be a contradiction in our bylaw, but our bylaw also allows for the affordable units to be comparable in size to the market rate units. So there's 2 projects. Maybe there are developers who are seeing a new niche in the market to build smaller rental units instead of gigantic, 4 bedroom, 6 bathroom condos. So hopefully we'll see more of that.
Thanks, Steve. Emily?
Quick thing, because I needed to clarify this for myself. So
Who are you?
40,
Who are you?
oh, I'm Emily, I'm staff. For 40B and for our programs, we use the Boston area MSA. So that goes, I think, to New Hampshire. It's very large. So that we're basing 50, 80, 100% off of this whole area. I believe Brookline is actually higher than that. So when we say 80% AMI, we're talking about for the metropolitan statistical area, which is not 80% AMI for Brookline. So it is even lower than, capturing that. I think we have to clarify that Brookline is higher income. So that is, it takes more money basically to get into that 120 percentage, if that makes sense. So, if we're doing at 80% for a 40B project with income restricted units, then that would be different than 80% of what's actually the AMI for Brookline.
Thanks, Emily. I see we got 7 or 8 minutes till your witching hour, Kevin. What I don't want to, if anybody else has specific thoughts, but I want to maybe, from what we're hearing and people are thinking, to put in context that there are, first of all, 2 basic approaches to what we're talking about here, the missing middle. One is the use of subsidy dollars as resources and finding a way to make them eligible to serve this. And you've heard that while that might be possible, since we can't bring other money in with what we put in, our money would not go very far because we would have to put in so much per unit. The other general area, it may be a more interesting and have more of an opportunity, what you just heard termed the NOAA, naturally occurring affordable housing, which is basically if you can get units that are essentially small enough, they are naturally more affordable, even if they're not income or deed restricted. And there are several aspects or elements of that we see and have actually have made some progress on and could look perhaps not entirely a bylaw method or town meeting, but just more promotion. And so and I'm sure you've heard of these things, but number one, we have advanced and done some zoning for what's known as micro housing units. They're naturally affordable. They're not deed restricted. I already mentioned that we are looking for ways to incentivize developers, whether they're doing affordable with deed restrictions or not, to be willing to put more smaller units rather than large. And then the third subject area is a really big one these days, is accessory dwelling units. We've made the major breakthroughs with the town and the state and everything. Jonathan, who you met and saw here, is chairing a committee on that now, and there's going to be another bylaw coming back to town meeting to advance that much dramatically further. But as we've noted, and Jonathan has identified this second front on that subject, which is promoting that and educating and you know, just advancing so that more of those units are created. I don't know if you personally, you described your situation very well, if you would want to live in a brand new cottage in someone else's backyard or not, but a 900 square foot brand new unit is the type of things that there's a lot of opportunity, and they might not be freestanding, but I'm sure you've been following that as well.
I think what's great too is just giving people options, which is something that they don't
Right.
necessarily have now. So I really appreciate all of your time and all of your thoughts and insights. I think this was really helpful. You know, while you know the housing crisis is a crisis, I'm personally not rushing to bring anything to town meeting either. So I'm happy to like continue listening in on HAB, plugging in, and also supporting the efforts that you're doing, and continuing conversations with you either as a group or as individuals.
Feel free to contact us either way, individually or as a group. I'm always available to as needed in that regard. Thanks and thank everybody for participating. Oh, Bernard.
Yeah, before Kevin goes, I'd like to just make a comment. You know, the micro units that you're talking about, Roger, I mean, that's going to bring in a certain type of individual, usually not families. And I think, you know, our need to buttress up the missing middle is not, you know, just a question of bringing in people with middle income incomes, but rather trying to make sure that those people are families who have a permanent connection to Brookline. And, you know, micro units appeal to transitory people, or, you know, people who come in school or, you know, or something else and go on. But, you know, the type of stability that I think we're talking about when we talk about the missing middle is the stability of, you know, people who are going to be permanent, more or less permanent residents of town, get involved in, you know, the civic affairs of the town and feel a commitment and an interest in how the town, you know, goes forward. So.
Totally agree. I hopefully didn't imply or that was a focal point, but one of a whole range of ways of getting affordability. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's one or two people only. Thanks for adding that, Bernard. Kevin, you're going to make your the convening of your next meeting. I know you have to do that.
All right, I'll be off. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time. It was great to meet you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye now. Yeah, Bernard, I'm really glad you mentioned that because that is a lot to do, and that's really the more the heart of the subject as well. Next agenda item is warrant article 7. You'll remember we discussed this and had the public hearing and voted to support it. We didn't have a specific statement on that, but I did have Steve in his planning board role and Jonathan generally having been quite interested in this, have followed in greater detail the trials and tribulations of that article as it's gone through the hoops at the planning board, which wasn't many hoops, and at the advisory committee, which was. And so I did want to give us an opportunity to have a little bit of updating on that. And I don't think we need any substantive change because we're looking, our mission is the affordable housing component only. But as I invite further comment and discussion about this, and perhaps beginning with Steve and Jonathan, if Emily, if you could put up, I did draft something because as you may recall, the combined reports close tomorrow to get it in the main document. And so we want to get our statement in there in a way that the HAB is comfortable with and yet acknowledges the bigger picture without us getting into areas that aren't our direct concern. So it's not meant to be long, but I'm not sure the whole thing is on the screen. Can you scroll up just a little bit, even if you have to get rid of the title? Scroll up.
Down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the print going up. There you go. That's perfect. Unless somebody wants me to read it, I'll just stay quiet for a minute and let everybody look at it themselves.
Well, I could add something, but if people want to read it, I'll stay quiet too. I mean, there was a planning board meeting on this morning.
Unless somebody asks me to read it, I think everybody, unless you have trouble reading the screen, I don't want to talk any more than I already do.
I believe it's 35 units, not 33 units.
Correct.
Yes, and
And actually,
Emily,
it's 30.
am I real time here where I can go in and change that? I don't see my cursor being able to do that.
And there are 4 additional
Roger,
units.
you can change it if you share your own screen.
Oh, I'm going to click share.
Yeah, I can stop
This will
sharing
stop
if you
the
wanna
other
share.
screen sharing. Do I want to continue? Should I do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now what happened?
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Nope, I'm still not.
Here, let me stop mine and then you can try.
I'll push share again.
Yep.
Now I'm getting a lot of things showing on my screen, so I'm going to X that out and see what happens. Now I've got nothing.
Roger, if you hit share screen on Zoom, then you have to select which thing you want to share. So if you already have the document open, you can select that, or you can just select your whole screen and then hit share again.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the document.
Cool.
And then share.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we
You
go.
got it.
And that,
Great.
Yeah, that's much smaller and harder to read. Well, to Steve's point, the original proposal was for 35 rental units and 4, up to 4 potential ownership units.
Right, which would be, I'm not, are you sure, Jonathan, that they're ownership units?
They're rental.
not
I just
sure.
I don't want to interrupt it, but I am here for the petitioner too, if anybody has any questions.
So Taylor, the
Yes.
Philbrook
4
Road
would be-
units would also be rental?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe
okay.
Philbrook Road is mentioned further down, and maybe we can just add a second smaller parcel with proposed 4 additional rental units. So I think based on what the planning board has done, and the planning board's held 3 meetings on this warrant article. I missed the first 2, but I was at the one this morning and I've caught up. The planning, that there are a lot of details that I think Roger's right. The HAB doesn't really need to get into the details of setbacks and all those things. The gist of this is going to produce 35 rental units in the school and 4 additional units on the Philbrook Road site, most likely. And the school will have 5 on-site affordable units. Most likely, the 4-unit development on Philbrook Road will pay a fee according to our inclusionary zoning. It's all spelled out in the agreement, so we'll get both units and some money. There may also be this article, this document refers to it. The advisory committee is actually proposing not rezoning the Philbrook Road site at the moment, and they've spent many hours going around on that, and who knows how that's going to turn out. So there may be several different proposals at town meeting. Hopefully it'll get resolved at town meeting, if not before. But I think this language is pretty much fine as far as the HAB's interest in what's going on there.
did you see the wording I added just now in the 5th line of the first paragraph?
Yeah, it's technically, it's not a separate site. It's just a portion of the site, and it fronts on Philbrook Court, I believe, not road.
No, it is road.
Is it?
It's
Okay,
road, Jonathan.
okay. I apologize.
On a separate portion or on a portion of the site?
It's a portion of the site. Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's one parcel, one parcel right now.
How's
It
that?
could end up being subdivided, but again, that's not really our concern at this point.
So is this something that needs our action or What?
I just need your approval that through Emily, we can file this tomorrow morning as a statement that reflects
Okay.
how the HAB wants to express itself to town meeting in supporting this in
I'm
our
fine.
lane, so to speak.
Gonna be in the combined report.
Yeah.
So do we need to vote on it? You just want to say, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I would say if we are discussing it and it's the meeting's recorded, if it's a matter of record that there's no objections, I don't think we need any more formalities than that unless someone else wants
Right.
to vote.
The only other wordsmithing I do in the middle paragraph where it says several proposed variations and has possible amendments with a question mark, I would
Yeah.
just sort of say variations or possible amendments. Take out the parentheses and question mark.
Okay, thank you.
Hab, dear. I'm listening and on my phone, and so I'm gonna get some echoes here. Can you guys hear me
You're
okay?
good.
Okay.
You're good.
I wonder if we want to just have a little more emphasis on what a great project this is in terms of its approach of reusing an existing building, not requiring subsidy. It feels a little too bland, I don't know, unenthusiastic to me.
As Kevin put it, without teeth.
Or not even without teeth,
Yeah.
but just giving people somebody that we think this is a really great project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
why
point.
don't we
Gives it
just
more
add a
footing.
sentence that say we strongly support this because it creates this and doesn't require additional subsidy?
Right.
Yeah.
What about just beefing up the last paragraph, getting rid of the formalities there? The HAB believes this is a
I
unusual.
would say it's stronger, which is what I think Carol's saying, that we strongly support proceeding with, housing, whatever the words are, and because it's creating much needing housing and not requiring any subsidy from the town or whatever.
I would say approve as presented because it
That's
may
fine.
change. It may
Yep.
change.
That's
Right.
I'm just agreeing with Carol that I think it'd be great if we could make it clear that we strongly support this proceeding.
Existing classroom building and adjacent site on Clark Road.
I thought we just said there wasn't an adjacent site.
Well, okay.
I would just
Yeah,
say
I mean,
we support the proposal.
Yeah.
I guess let me be careful saying this, but there is some, not controversy, but some alternatives being suggested for what's called CRM2 piece of this. So I think it'd be best to just focus on the part that the school is on, which is CRM1, in what we are supporting.
Bernard, after the HAB's original hearing on this site, I heard that there was a proposal that the town actually reacquire the Philbrook Road parcel and make it, however the funding is obtained, a recreational space. I haven't heard anything about that in the last couple of weeks. I know that the current proposal involves making sure there's pedestrian access between Clark Road and Philbrook Road and that there be a play area open to the public on the Clark Road site. Is that how that idea of recreation has evolved? Or is there still a move?
I don't think it's evolved in any way that we can say, this is something that we support. I think, the ultimate, what results ultimately is still up in the air in terms of that part of the parcel, CRM2. I mean, so, yeah. I just want to be careful not to suggest that we know how that's going to turn out and we support something that may change.
Is this, enough enthusiasm added in the, at the end, or do we want to,
It's fine with me.
heat it up a little further? No, really. I mean, I think it's a great, it was a little bit too dry before, so. Carol, you're muted. Bernard, does the current, draft here, either express your concerns or not contradict
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah,
getting at?
I'm reading it with a little difficulty, so give me a second. I
Sure.
mean, it seems to, let's see. So you talk about deliberations, at the advisory committee and the land use subcommittee, and several proposed variations. Yeah, I think that's a safe enough way of putting it.
It talks about possible additional units on the Philbrook Road portion of the site, so that's
Yeah.
vague enough.
You,
I mean, any possible additional units would require more or different zoning, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's an S10 zone, so there would, that's going to have to be either rezoned or part of the overlay.
Okay, so without knowing any of that kind of stuff, are people okay? There's one typo here. The HAB, it just says HA. And also I would say,
I just did that, yeah.
okay, I would say, to create new affordable housing. And I thought by using, it's an existing building, the
Yeah, I
reuse,
had put that in there, and you might have noticed if you were watching, I took it
You
out
took it
because
out.
I see that we already said that. in the
Okay, fine.
sentence.
And
But-
did we say somewhere that it doesn't require additional subsidies? I'm having too hard reading it.
No, that's actually very, very good point.
It doesn't, and that is a good point.
Okay, so we should add that.
You might put in, I don't know, it's getting too long, to create new, quote, naturally occurring, unquote, affordable housing.
But I would just say the HAB believes this project is an outstanding opportunity to create new affordable housing that require no additional subsidies. Or no subsidies. It's not even,
That sounds good.
I'd take out the word added. I would just say no subsidies.
No,
Or
no,
financial support from the town or state, whatever.
no town or, no government subsidy?
Yeah. Or government funding, whatever you want to say.
Funding?
I think it's it's fine as it is. You don't need more deliberation on that
Yeah.
point.
Do we want to, is it, the fact that it's using an existing building, do we want to say new climate friendly or we don't know how
We
sustainable
don't
it
need to
is.
get
I would
into
just
that.
leave it and move on. I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
let's not complicate
good?
it.
Emily, how do I make sure that you have this now? Can you pick it up?
If you can just email it to me.
Can I save it right from the shared screen here?
Yeah.
Yeah, just close the shared screen and then it's on your computer.
Give me a quick moment here, please. I think I've captured it. Here's hoping. I'm gonna take a picture of this. Just to be sure.
It's a document on your computer, Roger. It should
Yeah, it
be
should
there.
be good. Even if what you didn't actually work, which is highly unlikely, it'll still auto save it for you when you come back to it next time.
Okay. So I'm going out. Yeah, now can we get back onto the full screen then?
Yeah, there should be a button somewhere that says, it's like a red dot. It says stop share. Top or bottom of your screen. Maybe a black, like ribbon that you have to hover over.
I got rid of the document and now I'm looking at a blank screen that says Zoom on it.
And we're still looking at the document.
Do you see anyone's face in a small box to the right somewhere?
I apologize for this.
No problem.
Sharing.
Oh, I think we can do it. Ooh,
Stop share.
there we go.
Okay.
I was able to get it off, but
Nice.
Good
Good
now.
to go?
Great.
Okay.
Hey, Roger,
Yes.
I apologize. My computer crashed because I didn't have it plugged in. So
I
just-
readmitted you.
Pardon me?
I readmitted you just now.
Yeah, I got it back up and running. I plugged it
Yeah.
in.
Okay.
What did I miss?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, good.
Thank you, everybody. Emily, if you, oh no, I've got to email it to you, so make sure
Yep.
I do that before, you're gonna have this in the morning to send upstairs. Will do. Next agenda item, the prior minutes of the last, meeting, which you recall was our October 8th public hearing. On this very same article, is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Who was that? Who seconded?
me, Mike.
Mike. Oh, okay. All those in favor, Alex,
Yes.
Pam. You're muted, but that's okay.
I don't think I was there.
I don't think so either.
Okay, so
Okay, you'll abstain. Carol,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bernard.
I think I have to abstain too, because I don't believe I was there.
Okay,
At
That's fine.
a hearing, right?
public hearing, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't there.
Okay, you can abstain. Jonathan,
Yes.
Carol, one.
she said yes already.
That's
Okay,
me
there you are.
again. Do
I'm
I
looking-
vote
okay, I
twice?
should have said Carol too, but I'm only joking. And the chair votes yes, so the minutes are good to go. We'll check that one off. Welcome, Iwana. We see you, at least part of you. The next,
By the way, Roger,
yes.
I was there. It says so in the minutes.
Oh, okay,
I apologize.
okay. You got a lot of things going on. I know that for
Yeah, I
sure.
know.
The next item is a little a brief discussion about the City Realty's Chestnut Hill West project. You all may know that there's an ad hoc committee that's dealing with this project. Meredith Mooney is I think the leading staff person on it. The official chair, I think, is still Michael Sandman, but the current select board member, Michael Rubenstein, is taking an active lead role. There are no HAB members on that committee. Ken Lewis, who you all know and has been very helpful to the HAB in the past on some of our work, including Waldo Durgan, is active, and we've been having discussions with Ken about this. I was contacted fairly recently by Michael Rubenstein, and the project has many components. It's mixed use, and within housing, it's a major production of housing units with two, it used to be three components: rental, I believe 140 rental units, and then condo units, 126 condo units that are part of a building that includes the upper stories condo and the lower stories hotel, which will service the condo units. Tentatively, the easy part for the HAB, we're going to be charged with understanding and dealing with the affordable housing obligation on this major project as we have before, and making a recommendation on it. That's the way the HAB will be looked to. The 140 odd rental units is going to be a straight on-site 15%, and we will be asked to review and bless that, but the placement of the units is going to be the main thing that's got to be confirmed there. On the condominium side, the tentative plan, by the nature of the housing and the overall project configuration, is for a lump sum payment in lieu, which is allowed under our bylaw, subject to certain methodologies for arriving at how much that amount should be, and a finding that it's not only acceptable to the developer, but in the interests of the town. Michael Rubenstein, who is a pretty analytical guy, if you haven't worked with him yet, called me to start a conversation about how those analytics are supposed to work, and they are fairly complicated. Bernard and Emily do understand this, and Bernard has done some work with spreadsheets on this. I've had multiple conversations with Ken Lewis going back even a few months ago, and put him together with David Guzman to proceed to develop the necessary spreadsheets that we can be able to use to analyze different ways that we might be approaching this. Timing wise and HAB participation wise, from a formal standpoint, we have at our next meeting scheduled the development team for City Realty, including their attorney Jennifer Gilbert, Jennifer DeBazzo Gilbert, who I think you all know, also counsel, I think, does legal work for the BHA, to come and make a broad project presentation to us, so we'll get the whole picture. And as we've HAB has done many times before. And as the first step in getting down to what our responsibilities are on the affordability contribution for both the on-site and the cash in lieu. We will get a full presentation with a Q&A, and we'll allocate whatever time that's going to be the main item up on our December 1st meeting to fully understand this and hopefully make some progress toward where we'll end up, presumably having a vote in our January meeting on what we expect to happen on both of these components. And that is on a timeline where the bigger picture and the town committee and the developer want to have all of what we're doing integrated into the rest of what's going on by other meetings that are in February, in the middle of February. So you can get down in the weeds pretty deep on the cash side of this situation. There will be negotiations as before with the developer. The actual negotiations will not necessarily be part of a public process. We won't be doing that in our regular full HAB monthly meetings. And what other than any questions at this point, I'm sure I've missed something at sort of this early level of the discussion. Other than a general update, what I want to ask of HAB members at this point, and I've already spoken with the individuals involved, if you will approve a informal of 3 HAB members informally to engage in discussions with other members of the assigned town committee, and potentially, but not necessarily directly with the developer. And those people would be Mike Jacobs, who, as many of you may know, has decades of consulting on this very kind of pro forma financial analysis work that involves both affordable and market rate housing and mixed use. Mike worked and had some input back when we were working with Pam McKinney on some of her modeling work that she did for us. And also Carol Gladstone, who also understands the inner workings of this from the eyes of a developer and how they might be looking at their pro forma financials. One of the things that we have been accustomed to on other large projects, and by we, I'm including the HAB, including Newbury and Waldo Durgan, is the town's approach whereby they hired a third-party consultant who then executed a three-way non-disclosure agreement whereby the developer would allow the town's consultant to look at all of their proprietary financial analysis and projections for the project, including all of their returns and everything at a high level of detail. And then that would allow the town to understand when they're looking for various concessions and most notably how much the developer and the project can afford to absorb from an affordable housing financial subsidy support. We're not going to have that here to rely on this time. And the other thing that's different, and then I'm going to stop, is most of what we've done, especially on large projects, over many years has been affordable rental housing. And this one's unusual because it's a condominium. And, you know, we not only have the inclusionary zoning bylaw to try to guide us, but we have this now wonderful document that Emily and others worked so hard on, the cash and affordable housing guidelines with a lot of examples in it. This project doesn't fit perfectly any of those examples, but part of our job is going to be to try to make it conform to both the guidelines and the bylaw and what we think would be a good outcome here. The amount of the cash is going to be negotiated amount, whatever it is, and there's a wide range of possibilities here. Is a very large number. This is a really important project and an opportunity for the town, not just for affordable housing, but the mixed use is for commercial and retail development, including retail medical offices and a hotel with a big fiscal positive impact for the town. Mm-hmm. So it's complicated, it's big, and HAB has an important but very specific role here. I'd like to have a Q&A and discussion, but again, my ask is that the HAB, knowing where we're going and when and how, allow three of us who have some experience, and the other two I mentioned is probably more than mine, to work with this other committee and Michael Rubenstein and Ken Lewis to make this thing come to where it should. So let me stop there. Sorry if I was too long. Comments or questions?
Are you asking for a vote of the HAB to approve this subcommittee, Roger?
Well, I think that number one, I'm not really, it's not a formal subcommittee. I just want to have, unless there were objections, just as we did with the Article 7 statement, that it's okay with the HAB members for just three of us who will understand and have some experience to try to guide this. And then we're not sure where we'll be at the December 1st meeting, but that's what we'd like to ask. But also answer any questions here as well. Pam, did you? You're muted. You're muted.
Sure. Yeah. I said I don't have any questions, and I think it's great to have the three of you serve on this.
Yeah. What is the building that we're getting a cash infusion from? Which one of the buildings?
Bernard?
Yeah.
It's the condominium hotel. It's 126 condominium units over a hotel. And we're going to be getting lots of on-site units as a part of this other 140 unit rental building. So it's in that way, it's something like Waldo Durgan in two different buildings with, multiple use, multiple buildings, and partly on-site and units and partly cash.
Roger, were there previously 3 residential components? Was there also an age restricted?
Yes, there was, and I thought until my discussions just today, I thought that it was still divided that way, but I was told that it's now a rental, just straight rental. And I haven't been at the meetings where all of that has evolved.
Well, I agree with Pam. It's a good thing that we have three people that understand this and do your best.
Yeah.
I second that non-motion, but I'm in agreement.
Any concerns, any questions? I mean, there's a lot to this thing. It's very interesting.
Roger, this is also the we had an initial presentation on this some time ago, didn't we?
Going back quite a ways when they were first thinking of doing it, and then it had some ups and downs, and it wasn't clear if it was even going to proceed at some point. And I think it's changed quite a bit. And
Yeah.
I see Jennifer DePazzo is here watching this, and I certainly would invite Jennifer if you have any comment at this point. I don't want to misstate anything, or but please.
No,
Please
I'm happy to listen in and look forward to working with the HAB. We did do a presentation. You know, we've taken the senior living building off the table now, and right now it's being proposed as the hotel condo, the residential building, and then a medical office building. We're all with retail on the ground floor. So we'll be looking forward to present at your December meeting.
So a question for you, Jennifer, is there, I haven't been following this too closely. Is there sort of a coming towards any kind of consensus between the developer's vision and the town's proposed zoning?
Yeah, we've certainly come a long way and are very close now and looking forward to the next iteration of the zoning. There were some conflicts with respect specifically to step backs from Heath Street. But we've reoriented the buildings, and we're now going to be working with the consultant Sasaki on the design guidelines to take another look at that. And I know that Meredith will be releasing the next version of the zoning, which will hopefully address some of those areas where we were not aligned. So it's definitely moved very well and moving forward. And there's still some opposition to the height of the hotel, which is now proposed at 14 stories. And so there's still some neighborhood concern with the height, but the residential building is proposed at 7 stories, and then the medical office is at 12. So it's getting close.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Good. Want to cover the several of the remaining things that are mostly in the form of updates before 7, and I think Pam, I know you have to leave a little bit early. One of these actually it's somewhat of an update, but I'm gonna raise bring it up now, and then kind of again it's similar to a couple of things we've just done. I'm gonna share with you some information and then ask for something similar involving several HAB members moving something along that needs to be moved along between now and our next meeting. It's a continuation of something which is also now different. You've been hearing for a long time about Walnut High Phase 1, and however disappointing that outcome may have been in the near term, that part is pretty well defined. It's done and over with, and it's going to happen the way it happens. But the bigger subject is still on the table, and that is how to shape a rational and integrated and coordinated channeling of affordable housing resources now coming newly through the CPA spigot or source at a time when we're going to need them not just for the funding part, but for the, you've heard all this before, so I'm not going to repeat it, the need to have essentially a one-stop kind of place for affordable housing sponsors to come when they're doing bricks and mortar projects and have a venue where the folks they're talking with understand what they're talking about. But also that we've been told that our free cash, our annual free cash, which has been 7 figures in a number of years, is unlikely to continue. in the future. So we're really not talking about incremental funding. We're talking about kind of a new form of funding that's got a lot of reasons to make it work as well as possible at a time when we're not going to have as much funding from other sources that we're accustomed to. So picking up real quickly from what we covered at our last meeting, we are going to have a joint discussion, we meaning the HAB is the trustees of the trust fund, with the CPA committee. I did hear from Nancy Heller, and we have a tentative date, although, and everybody's going to get invited. It'll be Zoom, of course, so it's public, on December 1st, unless that's been changed, but that's the last I've heard. Steve, who's on the CPA committee, got a note today, I think that may have been, that may be delayed. So in any event, if it's on the 1st, it's going to be before our next full formal HAB meeting. And our plans are to go in there and have a draft document in the form of what we sometimes refer to as an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, or MOA, memorandum of agreement, that would actually reduce to writing a policies and procedure document that would, in the future, in a way, not only articulate what we had hoped for in Walnut High Phase 1, but perhaps more importantly, to create a framework for regular contributions and allocations from the CPA funding source toward the HAB, as you've heard us say many times before, which dozens of other communities do, whether or not they're designated for a specific project, just because there's reasons and advantages for those funds to be available through the trust vehicle. So there's a lot of reasons for that, and you've heard them all before. So I had begun the first pass at what the draft of such an MOU might look like, and then have informally had discussions and engaged with Steve, because he's on the CPA committee, and with Jonathan, because he's just very well versed in this sort of thing. And parallel, and this is really spreading out the work among the HAB, I think. I'm going to ask if the HAB would approve Steve and Jonathan and myself continuing with fashioning this type of document, which we would provide about a week before the next CPA meeting for everybody, including both you all and the CPA committee members. And that would be, there's a method in our madness here. That would be the form in which the focal point of the discussion, where CPA members are kind of on the receiving end of a very specific proposal from the trust and from the HAB, as opposed to, a totally open-ended, what do we want to do sort of thing. Again, let me stop. Hopefully I haven't gone on too long, but if there's questions about this, or if HAB members have concerns or different ways of thinking about it than the three of us proceeding as we've been going along. Bernard, who's also was very, very active in helping us promote or seek to promote a better outcome on Walnut High Phase 1. He's also, hasn't been as much in these recent discussions, but is having a look at what we're doing. Jonathan, you're muted.
Right.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
just want
I
to say
apologize.
that
Oh, Steve and Jonathan, which one of you wants to go first?
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
because I think it would be good for HAB members to be at this joint meeting. The agenda for the next CPA meeting, which is next Monday, has come out, and it says, as far as upcoming meetings, that the December 1st meeting has been moved to December 15th. So I don't know whether that's absolutely correct or not, but those are both Mondays, and I would say to other members of the HAB, you should keep your options open. But it's looking like it's going to be on the 15th, which is actually after our December meeting, which maybe works okay for us.
Steve, what time's the meeting?
The CPA meetings are at I think they're at 5:30. Let me see. I should
I
look at
think
the
it's
agenda.
5:30.
Yes, 5:30. And they're on Mondays.
And we're going to be looking for a CPA committee vote. We haven't been able to have a lot of dialogue with the committee members as opposed to the leadership, which has been, implacably opposed to the way we've been trying to promote CPA funding for the trust. So it's a persuasion session, if you will.
It is a committee. It's not an autocracy.
So something you said in passing, and you said in passing to me too, and I didn't raise it before, but I think it's worth maybe a discussion now or later, as you said, well, it looks like we're not going to be getting allocations of free cash anymore. And that's kind of a big deal, right? Because that has been, as you pointed out, in some years, 7 figures, and that's been one of the significant sources of funding for the trust. So I know that things are tight at the town, and I know everyone's looking for ways to, capture money for schools and capital improvements, but there has been a policy in place from the select board on how free cash is allocated, a waterfall, if you will.
Yeah.
And if that has been changed,
No,
it seems
no,
to me we should have something to say about that.
Yeah, I'm
No,
going
it's
to
not
defer to
being
Bernard
changed.
on
I think,
this.
I
Bernard?
think Roger is saying that the amount of the allocation from the waterfall is not going to be as robust as it has been in the past. No changes.
Because how come? I
The
guess is
free
my
cash
question.
is lower.
Right.
Oh, well, doesn't that depend every year just on, each year and how much of the budget we spend and don't spend, and therefore how much is available at the end of the year? Isn't that a year by year thing?
I think Roger meant the allocation this year and maybe next year, not permanently.
Ah, okay.
Okay, at least that's my understanding, Roger, right? Is that what you said?
I'm not as close to it as you. I know only what I heard in our group meeting where we were making our pitch and why we needed CPA funding, and I didn't take that as being definitive that it was being cut off, but that we certainly shouldn't expect large allocations in the foreseeable future.
Okay. Well, it would be better to understand that more, but I'm glad to hear that there's no official change in policy. That's good news.
There's definitely no change in policy. I mean, just a recognition that the gravy train is not going to be flowing really.
So is there if or have members any objection to what I'm asking that we be able to do over the next month between now and the next meeting? Okay, that's good for me if it's good for you. Thank you. So we're gonna, Carol, if you'll spend a few moments or a bit of time now, whatever you need, for bringing us up to date on the comp plan. And then the only other thing, the 2 other things we're gonna do is Jonathan on ADU subcommittee and Emily on Iwana on resources.
We need to make the announcement for Linda too, Linda Hickey.
Yes, thank you. Carol, you're next, and then I'll probably have, go ahead.
So good. My report is brief. The steering committee has spent a lot of time over this past summer and then going into the fall on the community engagement strategy. And it's really how to get meaningful feedback on, fairly complicated issues, and how to explain the trade-offs that people need to take into account as they're providing some feedback. And there have been several iterations on this. I think the first wave of material that came to the steering committee seemed way much too complicated and dense. And we've had a couple of iterations with the consultant since then. And at the most recent meeting, I think we've got a good direction. But between that time it took there and town meeting and holidays, the schedule now is to launch the engagement effort in the beginning of 2026, which is really the next big piece, and where we would then kind of encourage people who are advancing the housing, want to advance the housing agenda to participate vigorously. So that's where we are on the timing. There is still a focus, I think a personal commitment from Paul Warren of getting this done by next spring. I will take that. I'll take him at his commitment on that one. One other thing of note, had initial discussions, at least with Jake, about possibly that having a meeting where we would have some folks come in to just talk about our local housing market, like what's going on, and I hope that is still in the works. I don't know, Emily, if you've talked about that at all, but when that happens, we'll make sure everybody knows, because I think that'll be a really interesting an eye-opening discussion or learning session.
I
That would
don't
work.
think I've heard about that.
Okay.
If I have, I forgot, but it sounds
Sure.
great because I think, like I was saying, the different AMIs even, like what is,
Right.
comparing that would just be good information.
Yeah, I think it's as much about, what is the market dynamic going on right now? Who are the buyers? Why are we seeing even crazier price escalation that we're seeing in other near suburbs? What's actually going on? And so that we all, I think, understand some of the market dynamics that are at play as you look at this. Hopefully that will in fact happen, and that would be an interesting thing for HAB members to join in.
Good. Imagine when Paul Warren has a lot more spare time.
I think his goal is to really bring down this level of involvement at all. So I think he's incentivized to get this done on a personal level. So
Thank you.
Question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of a question.
Jonathan.
It's really about the timing. I mean, my sense is that it's taken quite a long time to get to this, what I still think of as kind of a preliminary step of public engagement around, just several different vision statements, if I'm remembering it correctly. And I'm not sure how much further that public engagement is going to go, but we haven't seen anything else, or there hasn't been anything else, substantive. I mean, a comprehensive plan is kind of a big deal,
Yeah.
right? So it's a little hard for me to understand how they're going to do that public engagement starting in the winter and have a plan done by the spring. So count me skeptical, and I would love to hear an answer for that about how that schedule actually plays out. I know you may not have that, but I'm just, I also,
Understood.
and I'll also note for the record that we were told that this would absolutely be done by the end of this year. And that was a reason that we should put a whole bunch of other zoning and other related things on hold, because we had to wait until the comprehensive plan would be done, and it would be done really fast. And a few of us said, are you sure? That doesn't make sense to us. So I just want to state that for the record.
Amen to that.
Among our little group here.
For the record, and add an ing to record. You're on.
I understand. Okay, well, we'll watch for how that plays out, and I certainly will look forward to the opportunity to engage when we're asked to engage.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carol.
You're welcome.
Just to make sure, Emily, did you mentioned the Linda, and I want to make sure we covered that. So
Yeah.
do that leading into resources.
Yeah, so there's a lottery that's going to be for 8 Juniper. It's a 3-bedroom on November 19th at noon. And so Linda's looking for a representative from HAB just to be on the lottery call and help out. It's very quick. So if anybody's interested, let me know.
I've usually done that, but if there are other HAB members that would like to jump in the pool and swim around for 20 minutes, I don't want to hog the fun. But
So what explain what we're talking about?
well, it's online now. It's just having a second presence to complement the staff person who runs the lotteries. we've done this for decades, not just years. It requires a bit of understanding of what's going on, but it's now, it's everybody's on the screen. It's a random number generator, and I've often sort of welcomed the group who's participating on behalf of the HAB, and it's it's Linda. It used to be well, David Guzman ran it for quite a while. Actually, administers the actual work.
How long does it take, Roger? Isn't it like pretty quick?
20. It's very fast these days, unless there's a lot of units, and this is only one unit. So
Yeah.
20 minutes.
What day is this and what time? You said noon on what day?
On the night.
November 19th.
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
You want to volunteer, Alex?
I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
I'd like to volunteer if I can.
Ah,
I mean, just as an observer, and I hope I don't have to participate in anything, right?
no. It's
just an observer.
frankly, it was more interesting when you could survey the room and see the real people coming and with high hopes and kind of get a sense of the diversity and who's in the pool. But it's fun. It's also nice to do on the screen.
Okay, so Bernard's interested in being the HAB. Jonathan too?
No, I'm not available or able to do it, but I do have a question. I thought I saw that there were 2 units at Juniper Street, a 1-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Are there 2 lotteries coming up or just one?
They're done separately.
But there are 2 that are going to happen in the near future, right?
Yes, I think there's another one because we've been having a few coming up, but they all are advertised and dealt with at different times.
So what are you looking for tonight? Is it one or is there 2 dates that we want to? Emily?
Just one date at this time. I think she's looking for.
Okay.
Just the November
Okay.
19th. We'll get back to the others as they come up.
Okay.
Because it does take a while to prepare all the stuff and get everything out. So it's, they come up at different times, so we handle them differently.
So
Yeah.
there's nothing to prevent 2 HAB members from being there, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
so
Absolutely
why don't we
not.
leave it that way? Bernard and Alex, you both expressed some interest. If you're able to attend, either one of you would be meet the need, and if neither of you do, I'll be your fallback.
I'd be
Okay.
happy enough to do it, but I have a strong conflict throughout the day.
Say again?
I would be happy enough to do it, but I have a strong conflict throughout the day that day.
Okay.
So we got Bernard and Roger's the backup.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Let's do resources quickly, Iwana, and then we'll finish
Yeah.
up with the
Okay. We have, Emily, we don't have to bring it up, but they have finally got caught up with all the interest. So we have an additional $4,635 in interest. The new investment that we have talked about we won't have anything on that until maybe December or January, because it does take about 30 days or so after the month ends, 30 to 60 days to give them time to enter it so I can pick it up at that point.
But is it earning now, even though it's not reported?
No, it's probably reported. Maybe the statements, when the statements come in.
Yeah.
And they usually come in at the end, early the following month. So it takes a little bit for the town to record it.
But as we speak, today and tomorrow, et cetera, it's earning at the 3 or 4% rather than the 1%.
It should be. Yes.
Okay.
But we'll report on that in December and January, or January, as soon as it comes. Okay. From inclusionary zoning, we got another $3,491.94. And that was for 125 St. Paul Street. The actual non-obligated available trust fund amount is $1,531,465.79. The trust fund and CDBG put together gives us $2,012,537.70. At this point in time, the total trust fund, because we have obligations, but they haven't been sent anywhere yet. It's $9,485,703.79. And so we do have an encumbrance of $454,238. Those numbers you can find, I think, Emily, you did send that out in the packet, right?
I believe so. I
Yeah.
can show it on the screen too if we want.
$3,000 is an awfully small check for an inclusionary zoning payment. What is that?
It
what's
was
that all
one
about?
unit, I believe.
A condo.
We have, you know, a good amount of people just adding basement units, and that's 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where we are right now.
Mike?
How's the money invested?
Better than
That
it used to be.
that I haven't had a conversation with Lincoln in the treasury yet, but he was instructed, we did tell him and he knows, to have at least 8,500,000 of the money is being invested in at least so we can get at least 4% interest on it, as opposed to the 1 or so that we've been getting.
Okay.
So if you want me to next in this December meeting, I'll make sure I meet with him and have a better conversation for you if you'd like. If that
Useful
is
to know what we're earning in interest.
okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
very, very
I can do
important.
that, not a problem.
Yeah,
It's a-
Roger explained what happened. I mean, we found out that we were earning 1% in a savings account.
Mhm.
And, we decided that doesn't make any sense. You have millions of dollars and earning 1%.
Yeah.
So, we worked with Lincoln to get some, better investment opportunity, or find some better investment opportunities. And I'm not sure where he's putting them, but if he's getting 4%, that sure is better than what we were getting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, I guess you missed the HAB had a couple of meetings where we were discussing, first discovering that we were only getting 1% and then agreeing that we wanted to put an investment policy together, and dialoguing with Lincoln, and Bernard was very
Which we did.
interested as well. And then we drafted a policy, had a discussion, a long discussion with the HAB at that one meeting, and then ran it by Lincoln. Bernard helped to draft it along with myself, and then came back. We voted it, adopted it, and Lincoln had indicated that he could put the money to work under the new policy very quickly. I spoke with him briefly after we
Yes.
voted, and I thought it was like only going to be maybe a week or two. And so
Yes.
that's why I was questioning, what are we earning as of today?
Yeah.
So, anyway,
And to be honest, Roger, I've been on vacation. I just came back
Right.
Monday, so hadn't had a chance to actually
Okay.
get into it.
with,
No
with all
problem,
the, with,
no
with all the
problem.
encumbrances, it's still over $9 million gross, and
Mhm.
1% to 4%, we're going to be getting something like $20,000 a month more than we were before.
Should.
Not
Because-
changing.
Yeah, we only got 4,635 over a 6-month period. So that's, that wasn't much.
It's amazing that we kind of stumbled on this almost by accident because of the 16 William Street, when
Mhm.
it was like, how much can you come up with in a hurry? And I found, I was thinking, it's not just the 900,000, if you remember, that we happen to have as a balance at that point unencumbered. How much how much more in interest are we going to have 3 months from now? And I was astonished to find that it was only
Not
peanuts,
much.
because it was invested as if we might need that money on any given day, the next day, or right away, and that's never been the case. So,
Roger, is there any update on 16 Williams? There was an update on the agenda for that.
yeah, I put it there as I guess as a plug. I nothing specific, unless anybody else has.
Yeah,
reported.
Roger.
Emily?
Yeah,
Emily?
we're gonna be talking to Victory Program about them looking into doing some updates when they actually get possession of the property. So I think that, you know, the sale is going through, and I believe it's December 2nd is the due date, and they're looking to assess, you know, what needs to be done to update the property a little bit. And they preliminarily are saying what funding sources they could possibly use to do those updates. So the conversation hasn't happened yet, but that's where we're at with them.
Thanks, Emily. Yep, I failed to pick that up.
Are they looking to us for loans as a loan source?
Maybe.
I haven't talked to them yet, but we are, you know, it is a possibility, I think.
And if they need the money, Bernard, we will make sure it's a loan and not a grant, and we'll add a right of first refusal on the end of our loan.
I thought we had
Exactly.
heard that
And
they
a
weren't-
high interest rate.
I thought we heard they weren't going to need any money from the town. Was that only for the
For the
acquisition?
purchase.
For purchase,
acquisition,
for the
yeah.
purchase.
Okay, but
Yeah.
so the question is open is in terms of whatever.
Renovations.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Jonathan, ADU subcommittee. You're muted.
Sorry. There's only a little to report. The last meeting of the committee was not held. We didn't have a quorum, unfortunately, so we were not able to make much progress. There's another meeting that may get scheduled for next Wednesday. I need to make sure we will be able to get a quorum for that before we schedule it, but if we do, we'll have to get something out. The agenda for that meeting is to do two things. One is to talk about size limits for ADUs. The state has a maximum size of 900 square feet. As people know, our current bylaw provides a maximum size of 950 square feet. And there has been discussion about whether for either some or all ADUs, we would want to consider a higher limit. I've had discussions with the staff about that, and I'm continuing those discussions. The staff has weighed in against having a higher square foot limit in our bylaw than the state requirement, thinking it makes it too controversial and challenging with all the other changes that we may need to make. I'm not sure I agree with that personally, so that's something to be discussed at the next meeting on November 12th. So if you're interested in that issue, you know, the meeting will get noticed in the next, you know, by Friday at the latest, if it's going to go forward, and I'd encourage people to come if they have views on that. And then the second thing is we've had quite a lengthy separate proposal from Dick Benka, who's very interested in this issue, that he wrote up, and we've dealt with some of the issues that he has raised, but we want to go through the rest of his comments and you know, work through those and hear him out on those. So that's the agenda for the next meeting, which may be on November 12th. So we are 12:30 to 2. We are aiming, you know, to get this, you know, I mean, this is for the spring town meeting, so there's still plenty of time to move it forward. And I'm going to keep trying to move it forward. That's the report.
Thanks, Jonathan. Another important topic, and it's been on the HAB's agenda for 16 years. 16 years.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question? First of all, Jonathan, thank you. But Emily, last time we talked about trying to get some information about whether we were getting anything, even in this interim period. Do you have any insight from us, or how hard it's going to be to find out whether there are building permits being applied for, or what's going on?
I have not had that conversation with Dan, but I believe Maria gets people at the front counter asking, so we could talk about that in the next ADU meeting and see what people are.
Right. And I think we talked about this last time. It would be helpful to have some real information about what people are really looking for, because right now we end up with these sort of theoretical arguments about things that are going to ruin people's lives that are never going to happen. right, or edit, and having some reality check on that. Maybe it wouldn't convince some people, but it would be helpful certainly in discussing it, in my
I think
opinion.
we did, excuse me, I think we did we didn't maybe not have exact and concrete data, but we got some snippets of information that someone in one of the ADU meetings said that the building commissioner, they had spoken with them, and over 6 months they only got 1 or 2, correct me if I'm wrong, like applications.
Right.
And so like even when we thought there was going to be this gap and that there was this inconsistencies and what's going to happen and are they going to have to do all these appeals, and it's just 1 or 2.
Right. Jonathan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think your point's really good, Carol, and I would love to, I don't want to make a lot of extra work for the staff, but I really think it would be helpful, Emily, if between you and Maria and Dan, we could get a little more of an organized report about how many inquiries, what the issues are that are coming up, and how many have actually been granted. I think there have been a lot. I keep hearing anecdotally, from both from the things Maria said at the last meeting, as well as in conversations with, attorney who represents people looking for ADUs, that people are interested and that they're coming forward and that they're trying to figure it out. And that there, in some cases challenges. And I'd love to know more about that, because you're right, Carol. The reality is helpful for setting the policy.
Right. And to actually see if we can help solve the problems that are really getting experienced, even though, of course, the next problem will be completely different, but at least you try. So,
but we certainly want to get a bylaw in place by our Springtown meeting.
Yeah,
This long delay, is probably not good for encouraging ADUs. Getting it settled is a good thing. We are told, by Emily and Maria that Dan Bennett is doing his best when he sees things that comply with the state law, even if they violate the current Brookline bylaw, to approve them. And if he has questions about that, if it's a close case, he then refers them to the ZBA. That's the information we've been given, but I don't know how many of those there have been or what the volume is.
right.
So
Or
it's
if people are
partly-
coming in, and not single families, but it's actually in 2 families or 3 families, right? I mean, that's sort of one of the biggest changes, right? And how,
Mhm.
so anyway.
Isn't the job of capturing this, in a sense, though, by the natural flow of information and people, potential applicants, partly with planning and Maria, but partly with the building department directly?
yeah, I'm not really sure how all that works, to be honest. I think some people are coming in and asking questions, but they wouldn't actually track that unless they actually put an application in. But I can ask Dan at the next regulatory meeting, if he has that data.
Great,
Okay,
that would be
great.
That'd
great.
be
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Jonathan,
Emily. Thank you.
Just,
And-
we're gonna adjourn, here in a second. On ADUs, there was a very long, interesting feature article on ADUs at the state level in last week's Banker and Tradesman, with some statistics about the level of activity at the state, experiences some other specific towns, cost ranges of information on what it's costing to produce an ADUs. And also, interestingly, a bit of the feature about one business in Massachusetts that's trying to get started on standardized production of ADUs from a prefab or modular basis, and it looks pretty attractive on paper. So
I know that Banker and Tradesman has a pretty strict paywall, but if you're able to get a copy of that I could look at, I would love that.
I would have captured it for sure, but I was on the fly in the library. Sometimes when I'm taking out a book, I race through and just pan through Banker and Tradesman to see what's
All
going
right, well, maybe I'll walk over to the library then. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, good. If no other business, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. I think we covered a lot,
Right.
and not much over an hour and a half.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good work.
Good night all.